Today we're driving one of the weirdest Formula 1 cars in history. This is the Brabham BT46B, or better known as the Brabham Fan Car, or F1 Fan Car, because as you can see, there is a huge fan at the rear end of this machine. It was used to extract air for not only cooling, but more importantly from air underneath the car and creating a wad of downforce. But quite interestingly, it was only raced for a single Grand Prix in 1978, and the Grand Prix it raced in, it won the 1978 Swedish Grand Prix at the hands of Niki Lauda. But immediately the next race, Brabham pulled the car, went back to their normal version. And today, this car takes its second ever F1 Grand Prix debut at the Austrian Grand Prix. Quite fitting for the man who took its only race win in the only race it entered, Niki Lauda, of course. So quite nice. We're at his home race here today. It's a grid of Brabhams. We've got a couple of Ferrari 312Ts in there as well. Not gonna lie, didn't pick those on purpose, because quite nicely, obviously the Ferrari 312T is also a car piloted by Lauda back in the day. Didn't mean to pick that, but it was just a happy accident. I just wanted a couple of different cars, so it wasn't all one car class. And then also we've got some very slow Lotus Type 49s, which are like the OG F1 cars, so they're going to definitely slow us up. But what I want to see is if we can get a comparison between a Brabham and the Ferrari. If this Brabham car on my left wants to maybe go for a move on that Ferrari, I mean, if you just look further up the road, just above my cockpit, you can see that difference of that massive fan on the right and then just a normal, obviously, rear wing attachment on the Ferrari. It's ridiculous. What must have people been thinking in the paddock when they turned up with this? Like some massive looking jet engine kind of thing. I'm sure people thought, oh, is that something to do with like the engine? Like, you know, like an actual jet engine, because it could well be it. It looks like it, but no, it was all about sucking air in from underneath the car using the skirts on the sides. So can you imagine a fan like that on modern F1 23 cars? Like, because of course these new copper cars, the 23 version, they're all about ground effect, with the new ground effect tunnels for the new era of Formula 1 since last year. With a fan on the back, even more downforce could be produced. You could create the craziest F1 car ever if you spliced a few of these different innovations from past years of Formula 1 as we try and go down the inside of that Brabham. Easy does it. That Lotus, slow as ever. Pretty pathetic compared to us, but of course it is, like I said, one of the OGs. But now we close up. And this mod's quite amazing, because if you look closer, you can see the propeller of the fan move. I get proper close there. You can see the fan moving about. So it's not just a stationary part of the car on the mod. They actually made it spin, which is just a lovely touch of detail, I must say. But we're getting through the pack slowly. I think some of the Lotus cars are definitely holding up us Brabhams. We can go a bit quicker than this, but just going to take it easy, because I don't want to make a mistake and get ourselves out of this entire race, because I want to try and be able to race all the way to the end. And with retro F1 cars, you just never know what they're going to do in terms of snap oversteer, massive understeer. Although saying that, to be fair, so far this car has actually been quite good to drive as we now go around the outside of 1, 2. This Lotus is holding us all up. It's like a safety car. It's holding us all up here. But no, the handling's actually pretty good, you know. There is actually quite a bit of grip I'm feeling on the rear end mid-apex. Front end's a little bit, you know, to be desired, but obviously these retro F1 cars, all the front wings weren't very, you know, complex as they are now, but you can feel the grip mid-corner of the rear, the fan working well, and I think also just the weight of it as well. Like, you know, obviously wheel force feedback's very, you know, arbitrary, but I can legit feel like the car's very rear heavy. Like, I can feel the weight behind my virtual head driving this car, and I'm sure that fan must have weighed a ton. I mean, also back in the day, the materials wouldn't have been that lightweight, so yeah, it must have been a bit of a compromise, really. And certainly if fans were a thing in the modern era, you know, with obviously the weight saving that the teams are thinking about now, stripping paint, certainly maybe a fan car in the modern regulations would just not make a lot of sense for that reason. And we don't need another reason for the cars to be even heavier than they are, because they're very, very heavy these days compared to the retro cars. But for the ingenuity of it all, you've got to really just commend it, really. And actually, funny enough, you would think big jet engine kind of fan. Looks very weird, peculiar, illegal. That's why they didn't race it again after that one race. Actually, apparently not. It was actually, apparently it was legal, but the reason they didn't race it more than the one race, the Swedish Grand Prix they won, was because Bernie Ecclestone, yeah, that's right, Bernie Ecclestone owned this team, but he's also just become like the chief of like a constructors union, if you will, for all the different teams. And so being the head of that and then having rivals kind of a bit up in arms about this weird concept and, you know, should they start making their own scenarios where it would run for 3 races, then be removed, just didn't work. So they decided not to run it and not be controversial by still running it as we go down the inside of the Brabham. Oh, God, bro. I went real hard on the brakes there because I wasn't sure if this thing was slowing down. Yeah, so he had aspirations of, you know, making sure that union group was good. And obviously we know now Bernie had aspirations of eventually going on to own the whole thing of Formula 1. Ooh, we're getting so close to this car, but I daren't go too late on the brakes because one late braking zone and I'm off in the gravel, and that's game over here. And I think this is the battle for the race win. So I'm just trying to ease ourselves in. This is definitely not the place where I'm making a move. I think that corner just gone. A dive down the inside is going to be where we're going to do it. But yeah, so yeah, Bernie decided, no, let's pull it. Let's not run it. And that's the story of the fan car. Maybe not exactly, of course. I've just done a bit of light research on the car for you guys before we got into it. I wanted to know exactly what kind of car I was driving and why it was such a weird, wonderful one that people remember. But yeah, it's a very peculiar story of a one-hit wonder car. And really does show off the ingenuity of Formula 1, I think, to be honest. As we go down the inside now. Oh, it's close. We can... Oh! Good catch. My God. Good catch. Right, we can still do this. We can still get him. I don't even know if this is the fight for first place. There may well be an AI that's miles ahead now, but I'm gonna hope this is the battle for first. As we... Oh, my. I'm so late on the brakes. I nearly completely smashed into him there. I really don't know any of the brake points in this car. It's so hard to tell with the brake marker boards as we get a very close look at the fan. We even tapped the fan, and we're going to try and make a move now down the inside. This is a corner where it's much better than the AI, it would seem. He's going to catch me a little bit in the next couple of corners, I reckon, because I'm just not so great through this left-hander. Ironically, this same left-hander that I'm not great at in the real F1 game, I'm not great at with this car either on Assetto Corsa, as we try and get it. That's probably the best I've ever taken at this entire race. Oh, a lot of understeer, and he's there, still lurking about in the rear. But we've just managed to maybe do it and do justice for the Brabham fan car. One of the weirdest Formula 1 cars ever in history. Amazing little bit of ingenuity, and it's a shame it didn't see the light of day past one race of that Swedish Grand Prix. But we come through for the win at the Austrian Grand Prix to pay tribute to the Austrian that got that one race win IRL for this car in the one race it ran. Guys, if you have enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Are there any other wacky, weird F1 cars that you think I need to look at and delve into with a bit of history and drive on this channel? Let me know in the comments below. And you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.